How's the reaction been going so far to the song?
It's great. It's like we've gotten some amazing quotes from people like Paul Schaefer and Scott Shannon and saying that like it rivals the original. It's really cool.
Wow. Okay, that's some pretty high
Yeah.
praise. That's very
It's
good.
really exciting. Yeah, yeah. So it's been an exciting time and we're working very hard on a Grammy nomination campaign. So that's been the bane of our existence this week.
Okay, how does that work? I've never asked someone, how do you submit for a Grammy? So how does that process go?
Well, you have to be a member of the Recording Academy, and neither Anthony or I are, but our producer, Fred Mullen, is. So we submitted through his Recording Academy registration. And then basically, you have, after submission, about a month to kind of just try to get to as many people in the industry's ears as you possibly can. But it's really kind of a secret society. Like, you don't know, like, it's hard to break into it.
Really? Huh.
Yeah.
Which
So.
which category are you aiming for? Or categories, maybe plural? Which
Two
ones are
of
you?
them. We're going for best pop slash group duo performance and best arrangements, vocals, and instruments.
Cool. All
Instruments,
right.
yeah. So those are the two that we're trying to get some attention for. It's hard.
Well, best of luck for that. Hopefully we'll find out in a few months what because
Thank
when
you.
when do we get the nominations? I know it's like usually like late November, early December is when they
Yeah,
announce
I think
them.
it's around then. They actually start. I know they start the nomination process on October 3rd, which is like so that's the cutoff for your consideration campaigns. But um,
Cool.
yeah.
Well, I'll keep my eyes peeled on the nominations when they come out, and hopefully yours comes up in that.
Yes, manifest
That'd be
that.
really cool to score. I mean, at the very least, a Grammy nomination would be wild. Of course, winning it
Yes,
would be the
yes,
best, of
a
course. But
Grammy. I mean, I want it for like I think Anthony deserves it at this point. You
right,
know,
absolutely. I mean, if you both
yeah,
get it, cool. I mean, you would
for sure.
early stage in your career. That's nice for him at his stage in his career. Oh my gosh, wow! So
Yeah,
that would be really cool. Question for you also, while we wait for him to get on board. So I'm looking through your Instagrams about the creation of this song, and you had that one clip where you're listening along to Linda Ronstadt's version, which
yeah,
is that's always been my favorite of the, I mean, beyond obviously the original of any cover. I just love the
yeah,
way that
yeah.
was arranged. Like, is that your favorite? If not, what like that? It's given that that one is the one that you were playing, and in some of the prep, I saw you, Linda Ronstadt was connected with your name in terms of like influences or something like that.
Right.
So deep dive a little bit more on that.
Well, so David Roth, who's the head of Reviver Music, which is my label, the way that this all started was that he has a close relationship with Anthony, and David knows that Linda is my favorite vocalist of all time, and I cover her songs all the time. So when he had the idea for Anthony and I to do a duet together, he figured, why not do Hurt So Bad? Because Linda had covered it at some point. So um, I had actually, believe it or not, as big of a Linda Ronstadt fan as I am, I hadn't heard Hurt So Bad by Linda before. And I was like, what's wrong? How did this not happen? How did I not hear this? And I fell in love with her version. I would say for me, it's a tie between the original version and Linda's version, but Anthony's version is like the original. So that probably wins, but I love them both. And then no one's ever done it before as a duet. And it really lends itself to a duet. So it was really, really cool to get to do it with Anthony and to sing with him because his voice at his age is basically just as good as it was when he originally recorded it. And he sings in a woman's range. So I get to do so much with my voice working with him because I'm not limited to the key. So it was just an amazing experience.
Yeah,
Uh,
Linda Ronstadt did a great job. I remember hearing it back. When was that? About the early 80s.
1980.
It's
Yeah,
80s, yeah.
I was driving along and I heard it in the guitar. Dun, 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 and I thought,
Yep.
this is cool. This is today, and I felt flattered, you know,
Hmm.
somebody's doing this too. And she had quite a big hit on it, and I never thought, and I do this song all the time. I just came off the Happy Together tour, and I've done this for 58 nights. And so there's a, and each night I find something new or different about it. But when I got the call from David, and he told me, there's this young lady, and we've been working with her in Nashville, and this and that, and I said, well, let me send something so I can hear her. And as soon as I started listening, I said, ooh, she got that little that little thing that happens that's very rare. And I just want her to know. Now, you also said, and by the way, Brooke, I saw something that in your name, I saw Brooke Sonny.
Yeah.
Well, check this out. My brother, my oldest brother, was my dear brother, I loved dearly, was like my champion, my friend. His name was Sonny. So if
With a U or with an O?
I would with a O, but you is a you.
Well, I was named after my grandfather, whose name was Sonny, and then when I was
Yes,
born, yeah. Oh, that's
that's
amazing.
something you didn't know, and so when I hear that, I always feel happy. So I was just wondering, can I call you Sonny?
You can call me Sonny any day. Absolutely. It's funny. Because I used to do Broadway musicals. That's how I started in New York City until
Yeah.
I got into country music. And my stage name was my full name, Brooke Sonny Moriber, but I wanted to change it for being a recording artist and just make it simpler, make it Brooke Moriber. But I miss the Sonny, so please use it.
Thank you. Thanks, Sonny. That's cool. Always makes me feel good. It
Sounds
makes me
nice.
think
Yeah.
of the time in my life, which is my brother in our relationship. So he's been gone.
Oh.
But yeah, thank you. I was surprised because one day I was just looking at something and I saw Brooke Sonny. I said, what?
You're making me want to change it all to just Sonny.
Yeah. That'd be just you and I and Luck up here. So we just been saying, but don't tell nobody. But anyway, yeah, where was I? I lost my train of thought. Well, it was about Linda Ronstadt, I suppose. And I was a big fan of Linda Ronstadt. I mean, Blue Bayou and all these other stuff. So I knew exactly who she was and how talented she was. When I got that call from David, the first thing I was reluctant because I said, oh, everybody's done that. David, Nancy Wilson, this one and that one, and Ella Fitzgerald. This covered the border, how many people covered it. And so he said, yeah, but maybe we can get you to talk to the producer, Fred Mullen. And I'd heard of him. I knew about him. I said, wait a minute, this guy's well known. And we talked on the phone, and he painted a beautiful picture of what he saw and how he was going to arrange it. And the whole he says, this has got to be big. This has got to be big. And I said, yeah, would help, And he just totally persuaded me. And then by talking to Brooke here and talking to her all the time, and more getting to know her from a personal level, just being around her, I started to see the gentleness in her, and I kind of picked up on that. I'm from the old school. I'm from the Sinatra school, which is all about lyric and enunciation, and they're able to say the words and explain the words and paint a musical picture of what that writer is trying to convey. And that is how I've been trained for so many years. And I really, and I got to give props to Mr. Don Costa, who was the producer of Hurt So Bad, who worked with Sinatra, worked with a lot of people. And he pulled me aside and he said, kid, he said, I work with the best. I work with all of them. He says, Tony Bennett, this one and that. And he said, but you got that thing. You got something that you understand that you should really concentrate on that, on the lyric, and how you do it so well, so natural. I just want to remind you that's a very cool thing that you do. And so I got all that, and actually talking to Fred about it, he felt the same way, because he was a big Don Costa fan, and he knew and learned from that. Guys like him and Nelson Riddle and all these kind of cats. And so we came to that conclusion. I have to say, from the bottom of my heart, you said, Brooke, earlier, as I was listening and trying to get my face on this thing, you said that I really looked at for him, for me. Well, you know something? Is that odd? Because I kind of look at it the other way. I want to see you because, you know, I have been so blessed in this business. This business owes me nothing. I owe it everything. I mean, I had so many records and things and successes and failures and triumphs and victories and stuff. But she's so very young, and I wanted that to happen for you, Brooke. I wanted to see that thing that you can taste that world, whatever it is, kind of weird to me looking back at this whole thing, but I wanted to see that for you. So that is a pretty cool thing. But I just wanted to let you know that I just wanted to know every time I listen to it, I think of that, and so I sincerely hope it does something and makes some noise and all of a sudden you're a big star. And when you become a big star, can you get me some tickets to your show?
You could tell that Anthony and I don't get along at all, right?
No, no,
We
no,
don't
no.
like
It's
each other.
tension all over the place. Yeah, completely.
Totally.
Yeah.
But seriously, Anthony, that means you got me to tear up a little bit just now. So singing with you has been the honor and highlight of my career. Truly.
Yeah, it's and an old timer like me singing with a very young and beautiful and very talented voice like yours, it's really my honor. I mean, I felt like, well, can I keep up with this lady? Can I, you know, and I gotta give props again to Fred, because Fred told me, he said, "Man, be yourself, dude. I know you. You get in the studio. I've never heard this, like, you just kind of, things happen, and most of the time happen in the studio. Let it happen. And I don't need to tell you or even direct you." He said, "Just let it happen." And I did. And then I found out something about myself. I said, wow, I didn't expect to do that little falsetto thing. And then when I did it, I said to myself, uh-oh, I forgot all about Brooke. Told you about that. I said, now, oh crap, how's she gonna come in? And I was trying to sing it and say, well, you do it this way, you do it that way, and it didn't work. And then when I heard it, I said, well, fan my petunias. Oh my goodness, that was unbelievable. So that the old days used to call that the hook, and I probably still the same today. That's a hook. It's this great work. We did good work, young lady. That's all really. It comes down to, I've told people this many times in your life, when you get much older and you've been through all the wars, you've seen so much, done so much, you will realize it's really the journey. The goal is cool, but once you make the goal, then it's always this drive to try to top that one and get another goal. But you have to enjoy the moment, the journey as you go along. Every little thing you do as a performer in the studio, getting to the studio, your car breaks down, your car's not good. Oh, but I made it to the studio. All these moments in your life, this builds your character. And I really believe that it'll affect your voice as you get older. And you start getting all of this kind of information in your chops, and it'll come out of you emotionally. So in that respect, man, I'm very happy that we did really, really good work. It's good work.
And Fred is, when we heard this idea for this recording, if you want something to sound epic, bring it to Fred Mullen.
Yeah.
If you want the vocals to be incredible,
Yeah.
bring it to Fred Mullen. So it was a no-brainer for him to produce this one. And I've worked with him a lot in the past. And every time I have a big song, I'm like, let's have Fred do this. But he's, and he makes you feel. One thing he does is he makes you feel like you can just mess up and just try anything you want. It's such a safe space recording with him. So, what Anthony was just talking about when he went to this falsetto thing, and then we were singing it together. And, I think under the helm of another producer, we may not have been able to do that, to feel that free, to just kind of experiment with that. It was just such a cool experience all over.
I don't know if you remember when we were in the studio, he left us in there. Started fooling around, vocally saying, well, try this, do that. And we do this thing. And then the young man who was the engineer, I think they just did a quick rough on us of doing it. And Fred came in the studio, and I remember I heard him say, Oh, so I leave the studio for one moment. You guys do this. So really, Fred is what you call a singer's producer. He lets the singer sing. He doesn't really, he doesn't tap, oh, well, can you do that? And there's some really great producers who do that. But his style is entirely different. He feels you're a professional. I don't need to baby you. I don't need to show.
Yeah.
This is the foundation. This is where we all start building. So
Yeah.
in that respect, man, thank you for hooking me up with that cat. He's cool.
I'm glad I introduced us all.
How many takes did it take to get a good vocal, or how many to you know, like comping sometimes happens? How did, like, how long or short did it go?
Well, Fred is also the king of vocal comping. Like, he's incredible at getting the best pieces of it. But I think, I don't really remember. I mean, Anthony, you and I are both perfectionists, so I think, you know, we always like to go over things a bunch of times. But, you know, with this type of a song, you want like a full performance. So we, you know, the actual day of recording, we spent the morning recording with the full band and just putting down scratch vocals and singing through with the full band, which is always the way that Fred records it first. And the musicians we had were unbelievable. We recorded in Nashville, where the best session players are, and they just blew it out of the water. And then we recorded our vocals afterwards.
Yeah.
We were supposed to record in the afternoon, but then there was a tornado watch, so we recorded the next day.
You see what I'm talking about? The journey.
Yes.
Remember that one.
Typical Nashville tornado watch.
Yeah. Yeah. You're so right. He really impressed me. I felt totally at peace with him, especially when we call scratch vocals today, but back in the day, that was what you did. So all the musicians, and you were in one booth and I'm in another, I could see you, what your expressions were, and so I was looking at you and watching how where you're going to go with your tonation, what you're going to do. And so I don't overwhelm something, you know, or I don't come in and, you know, this is when you're doing a duet, it's a duet. It's two people matching their voices and blending them. So you really want to make sure that you, if you're in your lane, it doesn't disrupt what she's doing or he might be doing. So in that respect, being in that studio together to me really set up when we ended up going to his studio in this house. So now I have a whole bunch of information in my brain. And then I enjoyed seeing live musicians actually at the same time in the studio. That's how I came up. You know, I know they do a lot of tracking today. Sometimes some artists do duets. They never see each other.
Right.
Never. And I this is something I'm dropping names now with George Benson. George and I did this thing some years ago because we always wanted to do something. And we were both the same way. Says, no, man, we're going in the studio and we're going to sing on one side of the mic and you're going to sing on the other and look at dead in each other's eyes.
Yes.
And what that does is it brings out that there is a bit of oh, he did that. I'll show him. I'll do this. And and what happens is you end up with a very quality stuff, you know. So this is an experience I enjoyed very much. Love to do it. I do it all the time. Wouldn't have a problem with that. But the way Fred did it was just really made me comfortable.
How did you come up with decide on this arrangement to do it this way? Of course, the big swells, the drama, but then starts in a different key with your vocals.
Yeah.
Then Anthony, yours comes in, so there's that shift, and then it goes from there. How did that arrangement come about?
It was very difficult at first, I have to tell you, because you know, Anthony and I were deciding, you know, I'll start, he'll do the second verse. But I had the chord progression in my head of what Linda Ronstadt did it, because that's kind of what I was singing to and practicing to. But Anthony's original chord progression is very different. So I had to figure out if you compare the original melody of the first verse to both versions, I'm singing something that's kind of all over the place and not actually sticking to either one, but that kind of sounds right enough. And that was the hardest part of the recording process for me, was figuring out where the notes were going to fit within the chord progression and to fit within the two keys. But the approach to this duet was, you know, we're seeing this song for the first time from the perspective of two people who are seeing each other move on and how it's breaking their hearts. So from me as like an actor from my previous life and doing like musical theater and TV stuff, I always approach things from, you know, what's my goal? What do I want from this? And I was envisioning that the two people, it's kind of like, I'm hurting more than you. No, I'm hurting more than you.
Absolutely.
And that's a way, and that, I think that kind of fed where the arrangement went with, like, you know, I'm hurting more. No, I'm hurting more. You don't really know how much this is hurting me. And it's kind of builds and builds
Yeah.
and builds and builds to this massive epic ending.
That's why I wanted you to begin it, to set the pace, you know, because like, again, remember, I have all this information, been doing it so much. So now I got to come from another direction. So it was better. I didn't want to set the pace to come in, especially when I start listening to her. I'm going, she got a sweet voice. It really it demands to me in my mind that she has to start the first verse. And I actually talked to Fred about it. He was kind of going, well, why don't you you do it, and then no, Fred, you don't, dude. She's got to set the pace on this thing, because from a woman's perspective, she writes saying, I know you don't know how you hurt me. You don't know what I'm going through, you know, standing here looking at you. And then I could then in my mind, I'm like, it's like a Romeo and Juliet thing. I'm under the window or something, and I'm going, but like needles and pins.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, it really did hurt me, and she's right. What happened was we were called voice playing, but we were doing it to the character of the song, what those two people were feeling. You don't understand. This really hurt me. And when it came up to all the high parts and all that stuff, you can see that where the song took on its own life, and it began to grow as we're singing it. So this is an experience I've had a lot that I'll put in my little experience box. And like I said, and I'll be straight up with you. A lot of times I've worked with many other artists I've done duets with, young ladies. And I must be honest with you, some are like divas. I mean, they already have, they set, that's it. This way I'm gonna do it. And not with Brooke. No, she was eager to find out how can we make this better? And when you do that, boy, that opens up all kinds of possibilities vocally. That, you know, you go to whatever it does. I'd love to have something wonderful, but I know one thing: what we did was really good. It's good stuff.
Mhm.
Sometimes
sure.
when I'm listening to it, I wish it would go a little bit longer so we could keep building on it, you know. But we, yeah,
Have like a 20-minute recording version of
that one of the 8-minute jobs. Yeah,
it.
ready for that.
Had it out, 12-inch remix and everything like that.
Yeah.
So for each of you, and I may already know the answer, but I'll just straight up ask the question: your favorite cover of "Hurt So Bad" all time, Anthony, Brooke, which one?
Linda Ronstadt for me. Yeah, she
Okay.
had the best one. And Nancy did a great job, but Nancy sort of took it to sort of a jazz pop sort of thing. And she's very disciplined singer. And you knew that was Nancy Wilson, but Linda made it her own.
Yeah.
Period.
Well, I agree.
Yeah.
So.
And that's what I figured. Like, I don't think I even really need to ask you, but we'll just throw it out there. But yeah, yours would be that same for me too. And that's been my favorite cover version of that. Anthony, you mentioned, of course, the Happy Together tour. You were over not that far from us, about hour and a half away over in
Yeah, where was we?
In Twin Cities, the Minnesota State Fair, August 25th.
Yeah,
I was there.
yeah.
I was not at the show. I was actually at the fair that evening, so I probably through the crowd over the grandstand probably heard your set. I might have still been on the grounds at that point, walking around. So I was kind of in the ballpark of that. But I did see, that there was it was a review from one of the big newspapers in the Twin Cities, from the St. Paul Pioneer Press, praised, well, in particular, Hurt So Bad amongst everything else in that. How did I know there's that one show you had to cancel down in southern Wisconsin, down in the Wisconsin State Fair, because of all the flooding they had there. But overall, like you commented on it earlier, but how did performing this year go this time around on the Happy Together tour?
Well, the first time I had some physical issues. I was having a lot of, I just didn't feel right at all the entire tour. I was very lightheaded. And so I was fighting through that. And we did a little bit more on that tour back in the 23. We did about 63 shows. So they cut it down to 58 shows because it's just too much. Even with the young artists on it, it really takes a sort of a mental thing approach to it, which I've done because I've been in this business for so darn long. I've learned that it's all mental more than anything else and physical. So I took the attitude, I just take one day at a time. So comparing the two, this by far was the best one I did, because now I'm fine. All of those things that should be working in my body and my chops were working. So I was able to really sit back and each night develop some other way of trying to make it, do something else. The simplest little things in turning your chord or turning your notes or chopping it, whatever it is. So I had the first one, I was in the twilight zone. I was just trying to get through the gigs, man. I was on automatic. It was muscle memory. I mean, it was really weird. But this one was really delightful. And hey, thank you for that shout out about that, because I came to the conclusion that in order to do a tour like that, it all comes down to the artist and the ensemble you're working with. And I can't find a better bunch of people I'd be working with. They had attitude that was so correct that we were like a family. We ate together. We went places together. We went to dinner together. We complained together. We laughed together. And it was because of that, with all these people, the Jane Americans and the Cowsills are wonderful. And all these other people on there the Turtles and everything. And of course, Mark, we know, has passed on. Mark Vorman has passed on this last few weeks ago. And that was the foundation of the tour. And Ron Dante, who was really the creator of the Archies, really filled in very, very good. And also Godfrey was a guitar player, but he plays with some of the top rock bands when he's doing his other thing. He came in and sang the parts that they did together, Mark and Bowman and Ron. And Ron did a marvelous job in holding that point up. So this was like an old vaudeville show. Everybody did their slots and they did them very well.
Got about 3-ish minutes left. Brooke, what do you have next up in your with next career plans, touring plans, et cetera, et cetera? What do you got?
I have a lot of new music coming out. I have been hosting a show in New York City every 2 months called Nashville, New York, which actually Anthony had done a couple months back.
Yeah.
And we basically bring the Nashville style writers round to New York City at the bitter end every 2 months. And it's been really taking off and doing really well. We have one on Monday, and gosh, I have some shows lined up in Nashville. I was doing a lot of summer shows this summer, so kind of recovering from that right now. But we have a new website up, which is going to have all the shows coming out and everything. And so anybody who wants to follow me and figure out what I'm up to, all of my socials and everything is just under @Brooke Moriber. So as long as you know how to spell my name, I'm pretty easy to find. But I'm really, really excited about all the new music coming out. And Anthony and I have some performances coming up, one in Nashville on November 15th, where we will be performing Hurt So Bad and also some of our own songs. So I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, yeah. And of course we're going to do it because we're doing it. We don't have full musicians on, but I won't even explain. It's going to be great. It's going to sound exactly like the record. Me, well, I don't know. I'm here, I'm there. So this is the story of my life. Where am I going? Oh shoot, after that long tour, I don't want to go nowhere for a few months. But I think what is it? The November the 2nd, I'll be on the malt shop cruise with Paul Anka and who else? Jay and Americans and a cast of 1,000.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah,
almost makes me.
Yeah, then I'll be. I should have had that because this is an opportunity to shamefully promote a place I'm going to, but I don't have my in front of me. But I'm going right outside of Chicago, coming up on December the 14th to do a concert there, at a theater, well-known theater. Has been at, we when I was with the Imperials, we did that theater over and over for years. So we sort of built up a following, and I'm going to be doing that. And then where else am I going? Somewhere. I forget. Oh, yeah, my son called me and he said something about the villages in Florida on the west. This one is on the West Coast. A series of gigs there. And they come, sometimes I don't even think about it. I get a call from my son, who was my business manager. He said, Dad, it's got a call come in, here's a gig, and this is how it is. And boom, I go, okay. And then I go do it. Working has never been a problem with me. It's sometimes I just want to, don't work as much sometimes. It gets really silly. And then next year, I mean, did like 3 or 4 gigs from February on. I don't know. The one in Chicago is in December, which it's not my favorite time to go to Chicago.
Oh, it's cold.
It's cold.
Woo!
Alas.
Yeah. So, but you got to go where the gigs are. So that's what's happening. I know there's something else, but my brain went into neutral, trying to figure out what it was.
That's why I just told everyone just go to my website.
I know what.
It's all there.
Real quick, so I don't take the time. We're doing a Christmas album.
Oh, cool.
I never did one totally. And so I'm doing a whole 8, 9, 10 songs or something with a whole full orchestra out of Orlando. I think it's the Orlando Philharmonic of Orlando something orchestra. And it's a young friend of mine, Michael Franklin, who's producing it. And so we actually by next week, I'll probably be up in Orlando beginning to do that project and get that going.
Oh, that's a heck of a way to celebrate the 60th anniversary of Hurt So Bad, and by doing that, the song we've been talking about, and everything else you're doing. That's great. This has been a great chat. Oh my gosh, this was a lot of fun. Brooke Moriber, Little Anthony, very cool. Thank you for doing this.
Hey, thank you. And for the people out there listening, it really is me.
It really is. Yes, it definitely is. You're still going. This is awesome. So thank you guys for doing this, for making this duet happen and adding to the canon of this song, and all the best for both of you going forward. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much for having us.
You're welcome. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.